All right, 18th tries the charm. Good lord. Hello, everyone. This is Balmy here with a video on fixing the Lecarde Chronicles video output. Now, I've done an extensive amount of Googling on trying to get it into a windowed mode. Now, those of us who know, when you double click on the Lecarde Chronicles executable, it'll put it into a full screen, and sometimes it'll look good, and sometimes, more often than not, it'll be stretched completely every which way on every monitor. If you have multiple monitors, it's a mess. So some things to note before we go into the fix. One, this game is meant to be played in a 4:3 aspect ratio, meaning it's supposed to look like that. It's supposed to be played in a square box that makes everything look as the way they were intended by Megami, the creator. Second, the game's resolution is set to 640 by 480, if I'm not mistaken, which is about yay big. It's pretty small. Pretty small. And the game, since it's programmed in that resolution and then it goes into full screen, it will stretch that 480p. It'll stretch this small square right across your giant 1080p panel, which makes everything even worse. So it compounds the issue. It makes all of your icons go which way. It makes your OBS recording look bad. It just is a pain. So here's the workaround. As you notice, I've tried to use borderless gaming. It has mixed results. There's a really complicated step to be able to kind of get it to work, but it's not worth your time unless you really are passionate about fixing it. If you just want things simple, here's what we do. First, launch the game. Notice how my screen's going to flash. In OBS, you'll notice that it's off to the upper left. It's really small. That's the 640 by 480 resolution coming through. That is actually how big the video truly is. On my screen, my actual physical monitor, it's full screen. I have two big old black borders. The aspect ratio is spot on, but in reality, my screen is actually what you see in OBS. It's technically a tiny little box up in the upper left. So to fix that, you just press Alt+Enter. If I can click buttons, there we go. My screen will flash and hey, look, it's in a window, but it's small. And that's annoying. I have a giant monitor, as you can see on this resolution. It's super small. So this is when you go into video mode, and then you'll notice there's these arrow keys with a scrolling background. Now, in the Lecarde Chronicles 1, it'll show you lots of different options for DirectX 9, OpenGL, and DirectX 8. There isn't really a known fix, as far as I'm aware, that have been pushed out to show any of that information on this screen. All you have is these two arrow keys and your button to go back to the menu and apply the changes. So you can hit your enter keys and notice how my window seems to be kind of fixed now. That is the initial resizing. That's it actually setting the frame correctly. So now it's a little bit bigger. But if I hit my my arrow key again, it goes to this full screen. So unfortunately, there isn't truly a way to get it to go into a bigger windowed mode. It's just going to be this size, unfortunately. Megami, the creator, would have to push out a update to fix that. Again, a little bit of technical background is that this game is made in what it seems to be ClickTeams Fusion, which I actually have the icon here, as I tried to see if there was a workaround way for me to kind of get this to kind of work. And unfortunately, without the original pre-packaged, the pre-executable files, I can't do anything, and neither could you. So you're stuck with this tiny window or going into a full screen mode, which it works because once you hit Alt+Enter, I'll show you, once you hit Alt+Enter, you now actually can interact with your desktop as you saw me do. Alt+Enter, that key combination, forces any Windows-based applications to go into a windowed mode. This was the key to actually getting it to run in a windowed mode, as well as letting me actually access my desktop once it did. So that is the only known fix I got, unfortunately. Again, you can try mess with borderless gaming and actually try and find the executable, but unfortunately, a note to those who want to try is that you actually have to have the game running in order to get the correct one, because these executables you see here, these don't actually contain the DirectX 9 DLLs or any of the actual hooks. These are just, think of them like zip files, if you will. They're basically just the containers that run it in its path. And to actually find these, you actually have to go into temp, and then you have to go find whatever temp folder that the game decides to create to put all of the actual files in, and it's kind of a elongated mess. So this is the only other way I know to actually get it into a windowed mode. It's not perfect, it doesn't fill the full screen, but at least it's something that you can work with if you're streaming the game or want to play it. I personally prefer to have it in a full screen mode. Sadly, it's about the only way I know to play it right, and if you have multiple monitors or want to alt-tab out, you actually can kind of alt-tab out a little bit, but as you can see, it comes with mixed results. It doesn't do it very, very well. As you can kind of see, I can try and drag a window over, and it doesn't want to drag it over. So it's just the way the game is played. So if you're fine having multiple monitors and you still just want to use the game in the background, this will work. So not a great fix, but it's still a fix nonetheless. Shoutouts to Megami for making the game. If you actually are watching this, Megami, if you are able to, we would really like to see a borderless window mode, if at all possible, or something a little bit more usable for streaming and showing the world your awesome creation. With that said, that's all I got for you today. Hopefully that kind of helps. And with that, I'll see you in the next one.